Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome. Today's topic is the 1928 Cleveland Indians AL-MLB baseball season. Again, the Tribe was playing in the American League, the junior circuit of Major League Baseball, and home games in Cleveland were played at League Park at East 66th and Lexington. The Tribe had a tough year in 1928. They finished in 7th place with a record of 62-92, winning percentage of .403. This is the era when they were still playing 154 games a season. They were 39 games out of first place. The first place team was the New York Yankees, who were 101-53, winning percentage of .656. The second place team, the Philadelphia Athletics, 98-55, 2.5 games out. Third place, the St. Louis Browns, 82-72. Fourth place, the Washington Senators, 75-79. Fifth place, the Chicago White Sox, 72-82. Sixth place, the Detroit Tigers, 68-86. Seventh place, the Cleveland Indians, 62-92. And in eighth and last place, the Boston Red Sox, 57-96. Winning percentage of .373, 43.5 games out of first place. In the offseason, Tribe owner Alva Bradley offered $250,000 to the Yankees for Lou Gehrig. The Yankees were having trouble signing Gehrig. The offer was turned down. After the season, in November, a bond issue passed for $2.5 million to finance the construction of a downtown stadium in filled-in land at the northern end of West 3rd Street, which became Cleveland Municipal Stadium. City manager William R. Hopkins was the driving force. Of course, Cleveland Hopkins Airport was named after Hopkins later. There were legal delays, so the groundbreaking for the stadium was in 1930. The slogan for the 1928 season was "The Public Be Pleased." In June, this was Ty Cobb's final season. He was playing for the Philadelphia Athletics, and against the Tribe, he doubled and stole home for the record 54th and final time of his career. Radio broadcasts of Tribe games began in 1928. June 26th started with station WTAM, and Tom Red Manning was the broadcaster. Manning had been the League Park announcer with a megaphone since 1920. Cleveland sports writer Franklin Whitey Lewis wrote this quote, "With cash handy and with the enthusiasm of a bride attacking a cookbook for the first time, Alva Bradley, Billy Evans, and Roger Peckinpah and the others took off for the December meeting of the major leagues. Spring training was moved from Lakeland, Florida to New Orleans, Louisiana, because of the influence of Huey Long, the politician from Louisiana who had connections with Cleveland. I read a very fine book, or I'm reading a fine book called No Money, No Beer, No Pennants, The Cleveland Indians and Baseball in the Great Depression by Scott H. Longert, 2016. In 1928, the Cleveland population was over 1 million and was the 6th largest in the United States. The downtown movie theaters included the Allen, Hanna, State, and Ohio theaters. The Terminal Tower was built in 1927, the second largest building in the U.S. And Scott H. Longer wrote this quote, "It is likely the opening of the Terminal Tower gave the city politicians plenty of optimism about a new project. If that massive structure could be built, why not a new stadium? Civic pride was taking place in Cleveland. In spring training, they had leapfrog workouts where the players would jump over each other. There was a drill. This is a drill that had been started in 1916 by Lee Full, manager at that time. If the American flag was flying on Terminal Tower, it meant an Indians game was going to be played that day, so people would keep an eye out. Opening day was at League Park. There were hot dogs, coffee, roasted peanuts, popcorn, and potato chips sold at the game. Gordon Cobbledick was a new sports writer for the Cleveland Plain Dealer. He would continue in that role for the next 40 years, one of the best sports writers in the country. On July 29th at League Park, the Tribe won 24-6 against the Yankees. Tribe had 27 hits in that game. Luke Sewell and Johnny Hodap each had 5 hits. Carl Lind had 4 hits and 5 RBIs. And there were 2 hits in the second and 2 hits in the sixth. Max Rosenblum, the owner of the Cleveland Rosenblums, who won American Basketball League titles in 1926, 1929, and 1930, supported the stadium proposal. The attendance for the Tribe at League Park was a total of 375,907, or an average of 4,850 per game, almost the same as 1927. Now, the Tribe had a new ownership group headed by Alva Bradley, who was a businessman. He was born in 1884 in Cleveland, Ohio, died in 1953 in Delray Beach, Florida at age 69. He went to Cornell University, and his work was as a real estate developer. His grandfather, Captain Alva Bradley, was a best friend of Thomas Edison's father. And Thomas Edison's middle name, this is where he got the name, was Alva, and so Alva Bradley was named after Thomas Edison's middle name. He was the president of a group that bought the Indians in 1927 for $1 million and then sold the team to Bill Veeck in 1946. He was co-owners with his brother, Charles Bradley, who put in $175,000. John Sherwin put in $300,000 from the Sherwin-Williams Company. Percy Morgan, $200,000. Newton Baker, $25,000. He'd been former Secretary of War. Joseph Hostetler, $25,000. Oris Paxton, or O.P., and Mantis James or M.J. Van Sweringen, the Van Sweringen brothers, put in $250,000. They were the two brothers that built the Terminal Tower. Bradley said this, quote, "We feel that a winning baseball team is a splendid asset to any city, and we are for Cleveland, first, last, and all the time." Bradley was the president, and his brother Chuck owned 18% of the team. He and the two brothers, so it's kind of a misnomer to call Alva Bradley the owner. He headed the ownership group. Now, there was a new general manager for the Indians in 1928, Billy Evans, who was from Chicago, Illinois. He died in 1956 in Miami, Florida, age 71. Evans was an MLB umpire in the American League from 1906 to 1927. They called him the boy umpire because he started at age 22, the youngest in MLB history. And he was the youngest to officiate a World Series at age 25. He umpired a total of 3,319 games, 5th in MLB history. 1,757 home games as the home plate umpire, 3rd in American League history, and 8th in MLB history. He was, and later he was a key front office executive for 3 teams, also the president of the Southern Association in the minor leagues, and the author of 2 books, including Umpiring from the Inside in 1947 and Knotty Problems in Baseball in 1950. Evans was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1973, the 3rd umpire selected. He played college baseball on his college baseball team at Cornell. He was the manager. He played college baseball and was the manager at Cornell as well. He coached MLB star Huey Jennings. He had 2 years of college when his father died, and then he needed to work. Sports writer in Youngstown. He was a sports writer in the Youngstown Daily Vindicator. He was an umpire for 6 World Series, 1909, 1912, 1915, 1917, 1919, and 1923. Evans was a very honest man. He said this, quote, "I missed a lot of decisions. At the time of making such a decision, there was no doubt in my mind as to its correctness. However, a second or 2 later, I felt that I erred and wished I could change my original ruling." In 1907, Evans had a skull fracture as umpire from a bottle thrown from the stands which hit him in the head and knocked him unconscious. He was an innovator. He would run down to a base where a play was being made and be on top of it, which became standard practice instead of just staying behind home plate. He advocated training for umpires. He also believed in diplomacy over belligerency. In other words, when the players or managers were yelling at him, he would just listen and let them let off some steam. 1921, he was involved in a bloody fistfight with Ty Cobb. He had a syndicated sports column called Billy Evans Says. After he retired, he was the tribe general manager, and then he was paid $30,000 a year, the first MLB GM. And he was for 8 years, he was GM with the tribe until 1935. He's also a scout for the Red Sox. He was the GM of the NFL Cleveland Rams in 1941. Also the president of the Southern Association in the minor leagues from 1942 to 1946. In 1946, he was the Detroit Tigers general manager. He was a devoted husband and father. He married his wife, Hazel Baldwin, in 1908. Their one child, Robert, was sports director at a radio station in Miami, Florida. Despite his success, he remained accessible to old friends in Youngstown, Ohio. High school classmate Alan Leiter said this about Evans, that Evans was, quote, was still the fine, clean character he was in high school, from his high school days in Youngstown. Evans died of a stroke in 1956 at age 71. Billy Evans had this to say about how to be an effective umpire, quote, good eyes, plenty of courage, mental and physical, a thorough knowledge of the playing rules, more than average portions of fair play, common sense, and diplomacy, an entire lack of vindictiveness, plenty of confidence in your ability. They called him Barney. Evans replaced Ernest Barney Barnhart, who had been the tribe GM, who became American League president when Ban Johnson stepped down because of poor health. Billy Evans. Now, the coaching staff included Grover Hartley, who was new. Hartley was from Osgood, Indiana. He died in Daytona Beach, Florida in 1964 at age 76. As a player, he hit .268 with 3 home runs and 144 RBIs. Hartley played for the New York Giants, St. Louis Terriers, St. Louis Browns, Boston Red Sox, and Cleveland Indians between 1911 and 1934. He was a backup catcher with good defensive skills and took responsibility to get the most out of his pitchers. For 7 years, he was in the minor leagues with the Columbus Senators, and he was a coach for the New York Giants, St. Louis Browns, Pittsburgh Pirates, and Cleveland Indians. In 1935, he was an American League umpire, and he was a tribe coach in 1928. And he was actually a tribe player coach between 1929 and 1930. In the minor leagues, he played for the Battle Creek Crickets, the Toledo Mud Hens, the Decatur Commodores, and the Louisville Colonels. Grover Hartley. Howie Shanks was another coach. Shanks was from Chicago, Illinois. He died in Monaca, Pennsylvania in 1941 at age 51. For his career, he hit .253 with 25 home runs and 620 RBIs. He was an outfielder, third baseman, playing for the Washington Senators, Boston Red Sox, and New York Yankees from 1912 to 1925. And he was a tribe coach between 1928 and 1932. Howie Shanks. Roger Peckinpah was the new manager. Peckinpah played for the Cleveland Naps in 1910 and then from 1912 to 1913. And was tribe manager from 1928 to 1933 and in 1941. Peckinpah grew up in the Huff neighborhood in Cleveland, a few blocks from League Park, where when he was a boy the Cleveland Spiders played. Napoleon Lajoie also lived in his neighborhood. Roger went to East High School and was a football, basketball, and baseball star. He won a World Series with the Washington Senators in 1924. Roger Peckinpah. Now the regular lineup, Luke Sewell was the catcher. Sewell batted .270 with 111 hits, 52 doubles, 16 doubles, 9 triples, 3 home runs, 52 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, 26 walks in 122 games. Sewell was with Cleveland from 1921 to 1932 and then in 1939. Luke Sewell. First baseman was Lou Fonseca, who batted .327, 86 hits, 38 runs, 19 doubles, 4 triples, 3 home runs, 36 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, 13 walks in 75 games, and Fonseca was with Cleveland from 1927 to 1931. Lou Fonseca. Carl Lind was the second baseman. Lind batted .294 with 191 hits, 102 runs scored, 42 doubles, 4 triples, a home run, 54 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, 36 walks in 154 games. Played every game. Lind was from New Orleans, Louisiana. He died in New York, New York in 1946 at age 42. For his career, he batted .272 with 1 home run and 74 RBIs. Played for the Cleveland Indians from 1927 to 1930. In 1928, he had his best year and was 15th in MVP voting. The minor leagues, he played for the Denver Bears, Houston Buffaloes, Indianapolis Indians, New Orleans Pelicans, the Newark Bears, Oakland Oaks, Peoria Tractors, and Toledo Mud Hens. Carl Lind. Joe Sewell, Luke Sewell's brother, was the shortstop. Sewell batted .323, really good. 190 hits, 79 runs scored, 40 doubles, 2 triples, 4 home runs, 90 RBIs, 7 stolen bases, 58 walks in 155 games. Sewell played for Cleveland from 1920 to 1930. Joe Sewell. Johnny Hodap was at third base. They called him Urban John. He hit .323 with 145 hits, 51 runs scored, 31 doubles, 6 triples, 2 home runs, 73 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 20 walks in 116 games. And Hodap was with Cleveland from 1925 to 1932. Johnny Hodap. In left field, Charlie Jameson played. He hit .307 with 133 hits, 63 runs scored, 18 doubles, 4 triples, a home run, 37 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 56 walks, and 112 games. And Jameson was with Cleveland from 1919 to 1932, and he's in the Cleveland Indians Hall of Fame. Charlie Jameson. Sam Lankford was in center field. Lankford batted .276 with 118 hits, 50 runs scored, 17 doubles, 8 triples, 4 home runs, 50 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 21 walks in 110 games. Lankford was born in 1900 in Briggs, Texas. He died in 1993 in Plainview, Texas at age 93. For his career, he hit .275 with 136 hits, 57 RBIs. Played for the Boston Red Sox and Cleveland Indians between 1926 and 1928. So this seems to be the end of his MLB career. Sam Lankford. Homer Suma was in right field. Suma batted .284 with 143 hits, 60 runs scored, 26 doubles, 3 triples, 3 home runs, 57 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, and 20 walks in 134 games. And Suma was with Cleveland from 1922 to 1928. So this was the end of Homer Suma's time in Cleveland. Now the bench players included Ed Morgan, who was a utility player. He batted .313 with 83 hits, 42 runs scored, 24 doubles, 6 triples, 4 home runs, 54 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 21 walks in 76 games. Morgan was born in 1904 in Cairo, Illinois. He died in 1980 in New Orleans, Louisiana at age 75. For his career, Morgan batted .313 with 52 home runs and 473 RBIs. He played for the Cleveland Indians and Boston Red Sox between 1928 and 1934, so he was a rookie. Ed Morgan. George Burns played some first base. He hit .249 with 52 hits, 29 runs, 12 doubles, a triple, 5 home runs, 30 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 17 walks in 82 games. Burns was with Cleveland from 1920 to 1921, 1924 to 1928. So this was the end of his time in Cleveland. He continued in the major leagues until 1929. George Burns had given Cleveland some outstanding years. George Burns. Luther Harville played some outfield. He batted .221 with 30 hits, 12 runs scored, 6 doubles, a triple, 12 RBIs, a stolen base, 4 walks in 40 games. Harville was born in 1905 in Cambria, Illinois. He died in Kansas City, Missouri at age 80 in 1986 at age 80. For his career, he batted .221 with 12 RBIs. He was with the Cleveland Indians in 1928, so this was the extent of his MLB career. They called him Red. He was a player, scout, and manager for 50 years in baseball from 1926 to the 1970s, generally playing center field. In the minor leagues, he played for the Jersey City Skeeters, the Kansas City Blues, Leavenworth Braves, Dallas Steers, Omaha Crickets, Shreveport Sports, the Wichita Aviators. And he was also a scout for the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Oakland A's. Luther Harville. Glenn Myatt was a spare catcher. Myatt batted .288 with 36 hits, 7 doubles, 2 triples, a home run, 15 RBIs, 13 walks in 58 games. Myatt was with Cleveland from 1923 to 1935. Glenn Myatt. George Gherkin played some outfield. He hit .226 with 26 hits, 16 runs, 7 doubles, 2 triples, 9 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 12 walks in 38 games. Gherkin was with Cleveland from 1927 to 1928, and this was the end of his MLB career. George Gherkin. Red Dorman was another outfielder. Dorman batted .364. Wow. 28 hits, 12 runs, 6 doubles, 11 RBIs, a stolen base, 9 walks in 25 games. Dorman was born in 1900 in Jacksonville, Illinois. He died in 1974 in Anaheim, California, at age 74. For his career, he hit .364 with 28 hits, which was just with Cleveland in 1928. So this was it, one-year wonder. The minor leagues, he played for the Tyler Trojans, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Indianapolis Indians, Kansas City Blues, and the Terre Haute Tots. Red Dorman. Chick Autry was another spare catcher. Autry batted .300 with 18 hits, 6 runs, 6 doubles, a triple, a home run, 9 RBIs, a walk, struck out 7 times in 22 games. Autry was with Cleveland from 1926 to 1928, so this was the end of his time in Cleveland, although he continued in the major leagues until 1930. Chick Autry. Ed Montague was an infielder, playing mostly shortstop. He hit .235 with 12 hits and 51 at-bats. He scored 12 runs, had a triple, 3 RBIs, 6 walks, 7 strikeouts in 32 games. Montague was born in 1905 in San Francisco, California, and died in Daly City in 1988 at age 82. For his career, he batted .262. He played for the Cleveland Indians in 1928, and then from 1930 to 1932. After he retired, he became a scout and signed Willie Mays for the New York Giants. His son, really amazing, his son Ed was an MLB umpire from 1974 to 2009. Montague was a scout for the New York Giants and then San Francisco Giants. Ed Montague. Ali Tucker was another outfielder. Tucker batted .128 with 6 hits and 47 at-bats. He scored 5 runs, had a home run, 2 RBIs, 7 walks in 14 games. Tucker was born in 1902 in Radiant, Virginia. He died in 1940 at age 38 after surgery to remove a brain tumor. Tragic. Tucker played for the Washington Senators and Cleveland Indians between 1927 and 1928. So this was the end of his MLB career. For his career, he batted .155 with 11 hits and 71 at-bats, 2 doubles, a home run, 10 RBIs, 11 walks in 34 games. And he was inducted in 2008 into the International League Hall of Fame. He had 14 years in the minor leagues. In 1921 with the Cedartown Cedars, 1935 with the Buffalo Bisons. He's in the Buffalo Baseball Hall of Fame, inducted in 1986. He played 6 years with Buffalo. Ali Tucker. Bruce Caldwell was a utility player. Caldwell hit .222 with 6 hits and 27 at-bats. He scored 2 runs and a double, a triple, 3 RBIs, a stolen base, 2 walks in 18 games. Caldwell was born in 1906 in Ashton, Rhode Island, and died in 1959 in West Haven, Connecticut at age 53. For his career, he batted .184 with 7 hits and 5 RBIs. Caldwell played for the Cleveland Indians in 1928 and the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1932. He attended Brown University and Yale University. He's on the football team for the Brown Bears and the Yale Bulldogs. He played in the NFL as a back for the New York Giants in 1928 as well. He was a running back at Yale when they were national champions in 1927. In the minors, he played for the Albany Senators and Minneapolis Millers. Bruce Caldwell. Jonah Goldman played some shortstop. Goldman batted .238 with 5 hits and 21 at-bats. He scored a run, had a double, 2 RBIs, 3 walks in 7 games. Goldman was born in 1906 in New York, New York, and died in 1980 in Palm Beach, Florida at age 73. For his career, he batted .224 with a home run and 49 RBIs. Played for the Cleveland Indians from 1928 to 1931. And he was Jewish, and there was an interest in finding a Jewish star so that more Jewish fans would support the tribe. Jonah Goldman. Al VanCamp played some first base and left field. He batted .235 with 4 hits and 17 at-bats. Had a double, 2 RBIs, a stolen base in 5 games. VanCamp was born in 1903 in Moline, Illinois, and died in 1981 in Davenport, Illinois, at age 77. For his career, he hit .261 with 20 doubles and 41 RBIs. Played for the Cleveland Indians in 1928, the Boston Red Sox between 1931 and 1932. And in the minor leagues, he played for the Des Moines Demons and the Louisville Cardinals. Al VanCamp. Carl Bolton played some first base. He hit .154 with 2 hits and 13 at-bats. He scored a run, had 2 triples, and 2 walks in 4 games, and a slugging percentage of .462. He was born in 1904 in Boonville, Mississippi, and died in 1993 in Jackson, Mississippi, at age 89. His MLB career was just with the Cleveland Indians in 1928. His only MLB hits were 2 triples. He shares the record with Ed Irvin with the most triples in a career and no other hits. Bolton played for the Mississippi State Bulldogs baseball team. Cecil Bolton. Aaron Ward was an infielder. He batted .111 with 1 hit and 9 at-bats. A walk, struck out twice in 6 games. Ward was born in 1896 in Boonville, Arkansas, and died in 1961 in New Orleans, Louisiana, at age 64. For his career, he hit .268 with 50 home runs and 446 RBIs. Ward played for the New York Yankees, Chicago White Sox, Cleveland Indians between 1917 and 1928, so this was the end of his MLB career. He won a World Series title with the Yankees in 1923. He had the first hit by a Yankee at Yankee Stadium. He made a base-running error and was thrown out at third base to end the 8th and final game of the 1921 World Series. In 12 seasons, he had 966 hits, 158 doubles, 54 triples, 36 stolen bases, and 339 games. He was a manager for the Evangeline League in 1946. And in the 2012 movie, Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise, the Cruise alias is Aaron Ward, investigating at an Ohio gun rage. The Robert Duvall character said this, quote, "I'm pretty sure you didn't play second base for the Yankees in 1925. In the minor leagues, Ward played for the Little Rock Travelers, the Montgomery Rebels, the Charleston Seagulls, Toledo Mudhens, Oakland Oaks, and Shreveport Sports. Aaron Ward. Johnny Burnette played some shortstop. He batted .500 with 5 hits and 10 at-bats. Scored 3 runs, had an RBI in 3 games, and Burnette was with Cleveland from 1927 to 1934. Johnny Burnette. Art Reinholtz played some third base. He batted .333 with 1 hit and 3 at-bats with a walk in 2 games. Reinholtz was born in 1903 in Detroit, Michigan, and died in 1980 at age 77. His MLB career was just with the Cleveland Indians in 1928. In the minor leagues, he played for the Raleigh Capitals, Kingston Eagles, and Winston-Salem Twins, and Terre Haute Tots. Art Reinholtz. Frank Wilson played some left field. They called him Squash. He batted once, did not have a hit. He had a walk in 2 games. Wilson was born in 1901 in Malden, Massachusetts. He died in 1974 in Leicester, Massachusetts at age 73. For his career, he hit .246 with 1 home run and 38 RBIs. Played for the Boston Braves, Cleveland Indians, and St. Louis Browns between 1924 to 1928. So this was the end of his MLB career. In the minor leagues, he played for the Jersey City Skeeters, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Kansas City Blues. Frank Wilson. Johnny Gill played some outfield. He did not bat. He was with Cleveland from 1927 to 1928. This was the end of his MLB career. He continued in the majors until 1936. Johnny Gill. Pitching staff, Joe Schott was the ace pitcher. Schott was 13-17 with an ERA of 4.04. 36 games, 31 starts, 21 complete games. a shutout, two saves, and 81 strikeouts. Schott batted .228 with 21 hits, 4 doubles, a triple, 9 RBIs, a stolen base, 10 walks, and struck out 15 times. Schott was with Cleveland from 1922 to 1930. Joe Schott. Willis Hudlin was 14-14 with an ERA of 4.04. 42 games, 26 starts, 10 complete games, 7 saves, and 62 strikeouts. Hudlin batted .194 with 14 hits and 79 at-bats. He scored 4 runs, had 4 doubles, 5 RBIs, 5 walks, and struck out 17 times. And Hudlin was with Cleveland from 1926 to 1940. Willis Hudlin. George Ewell was 12-17 with an ERA of 4.07. 31 games, 28 starts, 18 complete games, 2 shutouts, a save, and 74 strikeouts. Ewell batted .286 with 28 hits and 98 at-bats. He scored 9 runs, had 3 doubles, 2 triples, a home run, 17 RBIs, and walked 8 times in 55 games. Ewell played for Cleveland from 1919 to 1928 and then in 1936 and is buried in Lakewood Park Cemetery in Rocky River, Ohio. George Ewell. Jake Miller was 8-9 with an ERA of 4.44. 25 games, 24 starts, 8 complete games, 158 innings pitched, and 37 strikeouts. Miller batted .135 with 7 hits and 52 at-bats. He scored a run, had an RBI, and struck out 19 times. Miller was with Cleveland from 1924 to 1931. Jake Miller. George Grant was 10-8 with an ERA of 5.04. 28 games, 18 starts, 6 complete games, a shutout, 155 1/3 innings pitched, and 39 strikeouts. Grant batted .183 with 11 hits and 60 at-bats. He scored 3 runs, had 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, a walk, and struck out 22 times. And Grant was with Cleveland from 1927 to 1929. George Grant. Bill Beane was 2-5 with an ERA of 5.13. 37 games, 6 starts, so he was primarily a relief pitcher. 3 complete games, 3 saves, 108 2/3 innings pitched, and 39 strikeouts. Beane batted .367 with 11 hits and 30 at-bats. Scored 3 runs, had 2 doubles, walked once, and struck out 4 times. Beane was born in 1899 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and died in 1981 in St. Louis, Missouri at age 82. For his career, he was 31-32 with an ERA of 4.84 and 259 strikeouts. Beane played for the St. Louis Browns, Cleveland Indians, and Boston Red Sox between 1919 and 1930. Bill Beane. Johnny Milljust was 1-4 with an ERA of 2.66. 11 games, 4 starts, a complete game, a save, 50 2/3 innings pitched, and 19 strikeouts. Milljust batted .200 with 3 hits and 15 at-bats, a double, and struck out 5 times. Milljust was born in 1895 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and died in 1976 at Fort Harrison, Montana at age 80. For his career, he was 29-26 with an ERA of 3.92 and 166 strikeouts. Milljust pitched for the Pittsburgh Rebels, the Brooklyn Robins, Pittsburgh Pirates, and Cleveland Indians between 1915 and 1929. And he won a National League title with the 1927 Pirates. They called him the Big Serb. He was a Serbian-American and most likely the first Serbian-American MLB player. Milljust went to Duquesne University and played on the Duke's baseball team. He also went to the University of Pittsburgh and worked in the steel mills. He played college football and semi-pro teams in Pittsburgh, and he played against the Negro League teams, including the Homestead Grays. He was a graduate of Doctor of Dentistry, but he never practiced. In the U.S. Army in the First World War, he served and was wounded at the Battle of the Argonne in France. The 1927 World Series, Game 4 in the 9th inning, he threw the wild pitch to Tony Lazzeri that allowed Earl Combs to score the game-winning World Series run. In the minor leagues, he played for the Binghamton Bingos, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Nashville Vols, the Bridgeport Bears, the San Francisco Seals, and the Hollywood Stars. Johnny Milljust. Mel Harder was 0-2 with an ERA of 6.61, 23 games, 1 start, 1 save, 49 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts, and he batted 8 times, did not have a hit, and struck out 6 times. They called him Chief. Harder was born in 1909 in Beamer, Nebraska, and died in 2002 in Chardon, Ohio, at age 93. For his career, Mel Harder won 223 games, lost 186, an ERA of 3.80, 1,160 strikeouts. Harder was played for the Cleveland Indians between 1928 and 1947. Wow. He was the Tribe manager in an interim role in 1961 and 1962. He was a 4-time All-Star, the American League ERA leader in 1933. His number 18 was retired by the Tribe. He's in the Tribe Hall of Fame. He was the Tribe pitching coach between 1948 and 1963. He set a club record with 582 games pitched. He has the Tribe record in wins with 223. And games started 433, and innings pitched 3,426 and a third, all later broken by Bob Feller. Pitched the first game ever at Cleveland Municipal Stadium on July 31, 1932. From 1948 into the 1950s, he guided the Tribe's Big Four pitchers, Bob Feller, Bob Lemon, Early Wynn, and Mike Garcia. He also coached Herb Score, Sam McDowell, Tommy John, and Louis Tiant. He was a coach for the New York Mets, Chicago Cubs, Cincinnati Reds, and Kansas City Royals. In 2001, he was named in the top 100 Cleveland Indians players of all time. He's the only pitcher with 10 or more innings in the All-Star game without allowing a run. He's the only MLB player to have a 20-year playing career and a 20-year coaching career. Joe DiMaggio said that Harder was the toughest pitcher he ever faced. He batted 180 versus Mel Harder. He threw the last pitch at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, a ceremonial pitch, in 1993. He has the record as the He has the record of 4 managers in the MLB with the most wins without a loss. He was 3-0 as a manager. Mel Harder. Dutch Levson was 0-3 with an ERA of 5.44, 11 games, 3 starts, 41 and a third innings pitched, and 7 strikeouts. He batted 13 times, did not get a hit, and struck out himself 6 times. Levson was with Cleveland from 1923 to 1928. This was the end of his MLB career. Dutch Levson. Garland Buckeye was 1-5 with an ERA of 6.69, 9 games, 6 starts, 35 innings pitched, and 6 strikeouts. Buckeye batted 111 with 1 hit and 9 at-bats, an RBI, a walk, and he struck out 3 times. Buckeye was with Cleveland from 1925 to 1928. He also pitched with the New York Giants in 1928. This was the end of his MLB career. Garland Buckeye. Verne Underhill was 1-2 with an ERA of 4.50, 11 games, 3 starts, a complete game, 28 innings pitched, and 16 strikeouts. Underhill batted .364 with 4 hits and 11 at-bats. Scored 2 runs, had 2 doubles, an RBI, 1 walk, and struck out once. Underhill was with Cleveland from 1927 to 1928, and this was the end of his MLB career. Verne Underhill. Wes Farrell was 0-2 with an ERA of 2.25. 2 games, both starts, a complete game, 16 innings pitched, and 4 strikeouts. Farrell batted .250 with 1 hit and 4 at-bats and a triple. And Farrell was with Cleveland from 1927 to 1933. Wes Farrell. Jumbo Brown was 0-1 with an ERA of 6.75. 5 games, 14 2/3 innings pitched, and 12 strikeouts. Brown batted .667, 2 hits and 3 at-bats, with a run scored, a triple, and struck out once. Brown was with Cleveland from 1927 to 1928, so this was the end of his time in Cleveland. He continued in the major leagues until 1941. Jumbo Brown. Clint Brown was 0-1 with an ERA of 4.91. 2 games, a start, a complete game, 11 innings pitched, and 2 strikeouts. Clint Brown batted .200 with 1 hit and 5 at-bats, scored a run and struck out once. Brown was born in 1903 in Black Ash, Pennsylvania, and died in 1955 in Rocky River, Ohio at age 52. He's buried at the Lakewood Park Cemetery in Rocky River, Ohio. For his career, Brown was 89-93 with an ERA of 4.26, 410 strikeouts, and 64 saves. He pitched for the Cleveland Indians, Chicago White Sox, and the Cleveland Indians again between 1928 and 1942, mostly as a relief pitcher. In 1939, he was 11th in voting for the American League MVP. In minor leagues, he played for the New Orleans Pelicans, Harrisburg Senators, and Rochester Tribe. Clint Brown. Les Barnhart was 0-1 with an ERA of 7.00. 2 games, a start, 9 innings pitched, and a strikeout. Barnhart batted .500 with 1 hit and 2 at-bats and struck out once. He was born in 1905 in Hoxie, Texas, and died in 1971 in Scottsdale, Alabama, at age 66. For his career, he was 1-1 with an ERA of 6.75. 3 games, 2 starts, and 17 1/3 innings pitched, and 2 strikeouts. And he was with the Cleveland Indians in 1928 and 1930. Les Barnhart. Jim Moore was 0-1 with an ERA of 2.00. 1 game, which was a start, and he completed that game for 9 innings pitched with 1 strikeout. Moore batted 3 times, did not have a hit, and struck out twice. He was born in 1903 in Prescott, Arkansas, and died in 1973 in Seattle, Washington at age 69. For his career, he was 2-4 with an ERA of 4.52 and 29 strikeouts. Pitched for the Cleveland Indians and Chicago White Sox between 1928 and 1932. He also was on the Hendricks College baseball team. Jim Moore. And finally, Hap Collard had no decisions and an ERA of 2.25, 1 game, 4 innings pitched, and 1 strikeout. He batted once and had a hit for a batting average of 1,000. Collard played for the Cleveland Indians in 1927 and 1928, so this was the end of his time in Cleveland. He continued in the major leagues until 1930. After the regular season, the National League champions, the St. Louis Cardinals, were defeated. They were swept 4-0 by the American League champions, the New York Yankees. It was the first time a team swept consecutive World Series, the 1927 and 1928 New York Yankees. Babe Ruth hit .625 in the World Series with 3 home runs in Game 4. Lou Gehrig hit .545 with 4 home runs and 9 RBIs. Tony Lazzeri and Bob Musil were other stars for the Yankees. The Cardinals had Hall of Fame players Rabbit Moranville and Grover Cleveland Alexander. So that's the story of the 1928 Cleveland Indians. A tough year, but that's how it goes. And anyway, they had Cleveland on their jerseys. They played for us. They were our guys. They were our team. God bless the fellows who played for the Cleveland Indians in 1928. And everyone else associated with the team, including the fans, especially the Civil War veterans, the Spanish-American War veterans, and the First World War veterans. Captains of the Cuyahoga, lovers of Lake Erie, Terminal Tower Power, fans of the Free Staff Statue and the Fountain of Eternal Life, Severance Hall Stalwarts, Euclid Avenue Electricity, First Energy Stadium Friends, Progressive Field Pals, Quicken Loans Arena enthusiasts. Cleveland is the best location in the nation on the north coast of America. New York is the Big Apple. Cleveland is a plum. Tribe, Browns, Cavs, Munsters, and Gladiators rule. Cleveland, city of champions. Before you know it, it'll be opening day 2019. Go Tribe. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.